much sitting is too much? That's the question Annette Cashell is here to answer. Annette is a movement coach who helps people undo and prevent the damage done by excessive sitting. As an ex-corporate girl, she avoided a neck fusion operation and now combines her expertise in Pilates and movement to help others thrive with corrective exercises and the lifestyle changes to support them. Annette has spoken on radio, podcasts, and corporate wellness webinars. She is also in articles for Thrive Global and was featured in Grow Wild and the Irish Examiner. With a hopeful message that won't require you to throw away all your chairs, get ready to learn some valuable tips for better living. Enjoy.
Imagine being forced to do something that's known to be seriously bad for your health. Something that's scientifically proven to take years off your life. Something like smoking. If you were forced to do a horrible habit to keep your job or attend school, there'd be outrage, right? Petitions would be started, politicians would be lobbied, protests would be organised. No way would you or your kids do it. And yet, that's exactly what's happening every time excessive sitting is actively encouraged, as it is right now, in schools and companies all over the world. In recent years, there has been mounting media coverage about how sitting is hazardous to your health, prompting the slogan, "Sitting is the new smoking." While it makes for a great headline, it's not entirely true. Let's be clear though, sitting is not as bad for you as smoking, but it significantly increases your risk of serious diseases like cardiovascular disease, obesity, certain cancers, and even premature death. This isn't exactly news though. The US Surgeon General first reported this link in 1996, and yet according to the World Health Organization, there has been no improvement in global levels of physical activity since 2001. That fact alone may be what prompts extreme statements like sitting is new smoking. But big claims like that can sometimes have the opposite effect. They're just too easy to dismiss, especially if the implied solution is stop sitting. I mean, how realistic is that? Of course, these analogies do serve a purpose. While sitting may not be as bad as smoking, taking the phrase to its logical conclusion can help us to find a solution. If sitting is a new smoking, we need to start sitting up thinking of the chair as a cigarette. But unlike smoking, the focus should be on reducing our exposure instead of trying to eliminate it. Maybe you think that's ridiculous. 5 years ago, I would have thought the exact same thing. That was before my doctor told me, you're going to need a neck fusion operation. I remember feeling confused, lightheaded, terrified. I even had a hard time finding my way out of the building. I was in such a state of shock. Looking back, it was a turning point that dramatically changed my work and my life. I just didn't know it at the time. Before getting my neck fusion diagnosis, I used to have a proper job as a marketing manager. I spent long hours at my desk and I loved my job, but my body did not. It all started to go wrong in my 20s and my 30s with back pain, carpal tunnel, my wrists, and knee issues. Eventually, I quit my marketing job to become a Pilates teacher. I continued to exercise way more than the WHO guidelines. I wasn't overweight or particularly stressed, and yet I still found myself needing a neck fusion operation due to chronic pain. Me, the Pilates teacher and personal trainer. Sure, I found out the hard way that sitting is bad for you, but it was the impetus that made me realize the good news too. Not all sitting is equally bad. That means you don't have to quit your sitting habit completely, but reducing it is essential for your health. Even sitting for 4 to 8 hours is now a medium risk for sitting disease, and sitting for more than 8 hours is a high risk. Feeling squirmy in your chair right now? Yeah, that was me too. I squirmed even more when I found out that there was a term for people like me. People who exercise regularly, even intensely, but were largely sedentary for the rest of the day. I was an active couch potato. Active couch potatoes who exercise an hour a day are only 6% more active than couch potatoes who never exercise, because that 1 hour is just 1 hour out of potential 16 hours of movement. I'm not going to lie, it was another shock and a definite blow to my ego as a health professional. Why hadn't I been trained in the importance of general movement, which was so fundamental to true health and quality of life? Armed with this new perspective, I started adding movement, not exercise, into my day, and my body thrived. I still exercise, but I actively looked for movement opportunities throughout the day and embraced them. I also changed my home work environment to make more movement unavoidable and didn't rely on pure willpower. In short, I was sprinkling short bouts of movement throughout the day and becoming genuinely active. The result is I was able to stop all medication, I avoided the neck fusion operation and all the pain and distress associated with it. My consultant called me twice to wonder why I hadn't scheduled the operation, and he was amazed that I no longer had symptoms. So was I. My message to you now is hopeful, eminently doable, and probably a lot less scary than trying to quit sitting altogether. Because I get it, sometimes you have to sit, but there are ways to make it less damaging. Here are my 3 top tips to minimize, not eliminate, your exposure to chairs. Number 1, sit less. I know it sounds obvious, but sitting less just means standing or walking more. It doesn't have to take up much time. You could stand for part of a webinar or a Zoom call like right now. Stand when you're taking a phone call. Stand to do some of your emails, or when you're ironing instead of using a chair. Park further away from a destination and walk the difference. Take a standing or walking break every hour. Look at when you sit during the day and see where can you substitute some standing and walking instead. Every substitute counts. Number 2 is sit better. Even if you adopt the perfect sitting posture, you will start to slouch on a chair at some stage. To make this less inevitable, you can change the angle of your chair so it's upward sloping rather than downward sloping. You can buy a wedge, something like this, and place it on your chair seat. Or you can make your own by getting a towel, rolling it up, and putting towards the back of your chair, but not touching the backrest. Add it to all the chairs in your house, your office chair, your dining chair, your piano stool, and the benefit will spread throughout the day, every day, without you having to think about it. No willpower required. Number 3, when you have to sit, sit differently. You could sit on a yoga ball or on a stool without a backrest. You could sit on a lower stool or an ottoman, or on the floor using yoga bolsters and cushions. Your body thrives on movement, and having the strength to get down to the floor and back up again is a life skill worth developing and maintaining. I don't know anyone willing or able to eliminate sitting, and that's fine. You don't need to. Unlike smoking, you get huge benefits from just cutting back. As Wayne Dyer said, once you change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. I hope you never look at a chair the same way again, and that schools and companies never look at a chair the same way again either. That way they'll be more likely to adopt the 3 goals of sitting less, sitting differently, and sitting better. And you and your kids won't be forced to do something terrible for your health just to attend school or work ever again.